Today we're going to start working with some word problems, and in these situations we are going to have a variable on both sides. So let's go ahead and start with this very first problem, number 1. First thing I want you to see that's very important is this word is, in the math world, stands for equals. Okay? That stands for equals. And when we talk about a number that we don't know, all right, if we don't know the number, then we're going to call it x. All right, so find a number that is, that's equals, 64 greater than. Wouldn't that be like adding 64 to something? So let's add 64, but we don't know what we're adding it to yet. 64 greater than, what is it greater than? It's greater than its opposite. Well, what's the its? It's this number that we use. So what would the opposite of x be? Negative x. And now we have an equation. And we've been working with equations like this. And the first thing we have to do is get all the x's on the same side. So let's add x to both sides. And now I have 2x equals 64. So that's pretty easy to finish. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 32. Okay? So the key on these problems is to just take, I think you better write this down, only read about 3 to 5 words at a time. Because if you try to read the whole sentence, I think you'll get frustrated pretty quick. Just take a couple words at a time and work with it that way. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller for our next one. Let's say, number 2, find a number. Well, isn't that x? Okay. Find a number. That will be x. Whose product with 10. Whose product with 10. What's that mean? It means multiply the x by 10. So can't I write this as 10x? All right, find a number whose product with 10 is the same as, isn't that just equals? Equals. It's, well, there's that word it's again. It's, what's that talking about? It's talking about the number, right? It's is talking about the number which we called x. Okay? Find a number whose product with 10 is the same as its sum with 45. Wasn't sum addition? So the number's sum with 45. If you take these word problems slowly and just read about 2 or 3 words at a time, I think you'll do fine. Now, finishing this is pretty easy. I just need to subtract x from both sides so that I have 9x equals 45, and then divide both sides by 9. So x equals 5. All right, let's take a look at number 3 now. Number 3 is actually, I think, a little bit easier to understand the wording. Number 3, 2 times a number. How can I say that? Yep. So 2 times a number will be 2x. Increased by 11. How would I say that? Plus 11. Is the same as. that stands for equals. Is the same as stands for equals. 5 times the number would be 5x. Decreased by 4 would be minus 4. So there's your equation. Now, we've been working with problems like this. First thing I need to do is get all my x's on the same side. And we want to do that using an opposite. So, did you say subtract 5x? Yeah. All right, we can do it that way. Subtract 5x. So, it's the x terms on the right that go away because they're the opposites. So now I have negative 3x plus 11 equals negative 4. And then I would subtract 11, and that gives me, I'm just about out of room, I'll come over here, negative 3x equals negative 15.
How do you get 3x? Because you're on the 4 foot.
I got the negative 3x because I did 2 minus 5.
Yeah.
2 minus 5 is negative 3. So now I have negative 3x equals negative 15.
Never mind, I did.
Divide both sides by negative 3. X equals 5. We're not going to do number 4 right now. Let's go on down to number 5. Number 5 starts talking about this consecutive integers thing. And I want to just take a second to explain that. I'm going to write, we're not doing number 4, I'm just going to write up here for a second. If I'm talking about consecutive integers, remember integers are just our positive and negative whole numbers. So somebody pick 3 numbers in a row. Anything? 5, 6, 7. Let's use 5, 6, and 7. Well, there's 3 consecutive integers. Now what we have to do is think of these in terms of x. If I called this first one, if I called the first consecutive integer x, what would I do to this 5 to make it be 6? I would add 1. So the 6 would be x plus 1. What would I do to the 5 to make it be 7? I would add 2. So that would be x plus 2. Now, that's very important for solving the problem because number 5 says find 3 consecutive integers. Well, here's our 3 consecutive integers. X, x plus 1, and x plus 2. But then it says whose sum. Doesn't that mean add them together? So I'm going to add these integers together. They're actually expressions. But it says find 3 consecutive integers whose sum is, there's my equal sign, and I think I covered up my number there. Isn't it 15? Yeah. 15 more than. 15 more than. Now, how would I say twice the middle integer?
You would do,
Well, isn't this one the middle one? The x plus 1?
you put a little 2.
I'd put a 2, and then I'd put the x plus 1 in parentheses like that. That's how we would do twice the middle integer. Now, everything from this point is some steps that we know how to do. I need to combine my x's. I've got an x here, here, and here, so I'm going to have 3x. I've got a positive 1 and a positive 2, so this is going to become 3x plus 3 equals, on the right side, I would do distributive property. So that would be 2x plus 2 plus 15. combine my 2 and my 15. So I'd have 2x plus 17, and on this side I still have the 3x plus 3. And from there it should be pretty straightforward. I would subtract 2x. 3x minus 2x is x. And I have x plus 3 equals 17 now. Subtract 3. And my answer is 14. Almost, that's my answer. The reason why I'm not quite done is because it told me to find 3 consecutive integers. This 14 is just the first one. So can't we just count up for the next two? 14, 15, and 16. Those are all 3 numbers that we want. Now, let's take a look at number 6. And it really, we already kind of know how to do number 6. I'm going to erase some of my scratches here so we can see it all the way. Number 6 talks about 2 consecutive even integers. Now let's think about 2 consecutive even integers. If I had 16 and 18, if I call this one x, what do I do to 16 to make it be 18? I would add 2. So that would be x plus 2. Okay? So in this case, my 2 expressions are x and x plus 2 instead of x and x plus 1 because I'm talking about 2 consecutive even integers. So the problem says the greater of 2 consecutive even integers. Well, which one of these 2 is bigger? X or x plus 2? Okay, this is the bigger one. Okay, this one is bigger. So we're going to use x plus 2. The greater, and look at all those words that we've just taken out now. We've done the greater of 2 consecutive even integers. That's the x plus 2. Is equals 14 less than, I'm going to subtract 14 from something. 3 times the smaller. Well, isn't this one the smaller one? So it's going to be 3x because it's 3 times the smaller one. And there's our equation. So I need to get all my x's on the same side. So let's subtract 3x. Subtract 3x. They go away on that side. On the left side, I have negative 2x plus 2 equals negative 14. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Negative 2x equals negative 16. Divide both sides by negative 2, and we're done. X equals 8. And we will stop there for today.